So yeah, I'll send you an email, Mark.
Okay.
I know you're not going to ever join Facebook.
Fuck that.
But that's how I communicate with it. We have a
I'm
Facebook
not going to
page.
contribute to the downfall of society.
You can join just to be communicated with us.
Oh, that's how they get their talons in you. Then it's all downhill from there.
All right, I'll make a special occasion to email Mark specially, just so he can know what's going on.
There you go.
Yeah, he's
There you
so
go.
special. He deserves an email. Everyone else can go to Facebook, but not Mark. That's fine.
Guys, on this assignment that Mr. Chris came up with, I am not going like ranking my number 10 to number 1. I'm putting them in because it's just too hard to go. Like, what's your favorite album of the 80s?
Yeah,
Am I correct in that? We weren't doing that? Yeah.
That's the assignment. F. 0. You didn't do the assignment.
I'm
That's part of the agony of ranking them. That's part of it.
I'm doing it chronologically, so it's
I've
fine.
got more gray hair just for making this list.
Yeah, this is going to be a good talk. I'm looking
It's rough.
forward to it. Yeah,
Tough.
This is painful.
I am Montag, master of illusion. What goes up must come down, but not always.
Yeah, I'm Chop Top.
And the Slunkmeister.
And you are listening to Heavy Metal. All right. Take it away, Slunkmeister.
All right. Well, this episode, in the vein of last episode of ranking albums, this time we have the not so envious task of ranking our top 10 metal albums of the 80s, the decade, the golden era of the 80s. 10 albums. I say metal, but I'd have to admit that a couple of my entries may be considered hard rock genre. But where's the line drawn? So
Right,
I think that's okay. Metal is a pretty wide range of
right. Early on, you said
genres,
anything from hair metal to thrash.
Correct.
So,
Correct.
and I boy, it's hard to pick. It was
10 from a decade.
Yeah, I started my list with 27. Like, okay, yeah, 27. We can do the top 27, and then I can get it down to 18, and I'm like, oh God, I kind of want some of those back. It was just you're no matter what. I know we're all gonna miss. We're all just you can't include all your children. Then
I honestly don't even know if I agree with my own list. So it was
I'm looking at mine right now, Slunkmeister. Oh fuck, I got to put that honorable mention back in this.
Yeah. It was as my list was growing throughout the week. At one point, I did consider like maybe we'll do 20. Then I'm like, no, let's keep it a challenge. Let's make this agonizing. So it's metal. It's metal. There should be a modicum of agony involved.
Well, just like you said before, it's like chopping your fingers off to get down to that 10. You're like chopping fingers.
You're losing digits at the end.
Exactly. So. All right, so Slunkmeister, let's start with you then. Why don't you tell us your first pick of your personal top 10 of the 1980s?
Okay, I think you might find the very first one interesting, but this is my very first one at number 10, 1987's Halloween, Keeper of the Seven Keys, Part 1.
Part 1, nice.
This one, it moved around on my list for a while. It was a little higher, but it kind of slowly moved its way down, but it's still a top 10. Just because I think this is such a unique band with a unique sound. This progressive metal. Obviously, I'm a sucker for fantasy, coupled with concept album. I'm in. That's got to make my top 10.
Dual guitars.
Dual leads.
Sound. Yes.
Just a really cool, unique band that kind of carved their own little niche out in the metal scene, and got tons of airplay in the late 80s.
One out.
Awesome. Love these guys. Yeah. So, Keeper of the Seven Keys.
Nice. It's a great album, and it's an underrated band. That's for sure.
I agree.
All right. Okay, Chop Top. What do you want?
Here we go. Bring on the pain. Number 10, I'm going with Megadeth, Peace Sells, Blues Mine. For me, it was the first time I discovered Megadeth, and the artwork speaks for itself. And I just think, my gosh, the songs, other than the cover, I Ain't Superstitious, they could have left out. But The Conjuring, Peace Sells, Wake Up Dead, still one of the all-time classic thrash anthems of all time. Black Friday, Bad Omen. I mean, just for me, that really brought, like, who is this? I remember in thrash, I was like, a buddy that introduced me to him back in high school, and first heard that on cassette, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm loving it. At that time, I didn't realize, he's ex-Metallica, he formed Megadeth. But that was my first introduction to them, and it holds a special place during that time.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a great album. I'm personally more of a fan of the later Megadeth stuff, but I mean, you can't argue that that's not top 10 worthy for sure. Great entry to Megadeth stuff, early Megadeth.
Definitely.
Oh yeah. I don't have them. I have them ranked chronologically. Sorry. So I'm going to start with 1980. Motorhead, Ace of Spades. I love Motorhead. Great songs. Ace of Spades, Love Me Like a Reptile. I mean, that's just fucking quintessential Motorhead. Fast and Loose, We Are the Road Crew, Jailbait, The Chase is Better Than the Catch. This was a raw album. It doesn't sound polished like some of their later ones did, but what I think Motorhead fans know is that Motorhead really started thrash metal, speed metal. If it wasn't for Motorhead, we wouldn't have bands like Slayer, and I remember Slunkmeister, we used to watch that video for Eat the Rich, because we didn't know who these guys were. Like, who the hell are these guys? Eat the Rich, what is going on, And so I would say, yeah, Motorhead, Ace of Spades, just because of the impact, and Motorhead's one of my favorite bands.
Yeah, hard to dispute that one. Classic, influential too, like you said. Yeah, I mean, similar to Sabbath, I think, in their influence over the metal scene. A lot of bands mention Motorhead and then talk about the influences. So, awesome.
Yeah.
All right. That was 10. Down to number 9. Here we go. We're just going to keep the same order each round?
Sure. Yeah, why not?
Okay. Yeah, I think this list will be interesting too, because I don't think we're going to have nearly the overlap that we had with Maiden albums. So I bet,
I guess I'm surprised the hell out of you guys in this, but it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah. This 1983, one of the best years in all of metalldom, in my opinion too. But this album, 1983, Dio, Last in Line.
Ah, yeah.
Nice.
Ronnie James, one of the greats. Stature of an elf with the voice of a giant.
Listen today.
And honestly, this was the hardest thing about this was which album? Like, to me, it's
Holy
a toss
Diver or
Holy Diver. Right. Even Dream Evil is one of my top 3
Dream Evil's good.
favorite Dio albums. So I think this one is maybe the most classic of the. Well, I don't know. You could make an argument for Holy Diver being a classic, but. Yeah, so I'm sticking with Last in Line. I love this. It's got a cool vibe to it. The mix is really neat. I just, great album. So, Last in Line.
I had several Dio and Dio Sabbaths on my initial list. So, like, how do you pick and choose, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Tell Montag I had to leave Maiden off my list purposely because I could have easily put 3 or 4 albums in the 80s on there. There's no, we did our hour and a half of Maiden, so now we got to move, but good choice.
All right. So who do you got? Chop at 9. What do you got?
Okay. Boy, Black Sabbath, Heaven and Hell. That's when I was first introduced. You believe that? That's the first time I was introduced to Sabbath. First time I heard him with Ronnie.
Wow. What year was that?
No idea. Period.
That was 1980.
Yeah. That made it in the 80s.
80.
Yeah. So just barely squeezed in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was my first introduction, and I was just mesmerized. And then I got Mob Rules, but then they're saying, there was another singer, and they did umpteen albums before that. I'm like, okay. But that was my first introduction to Black Sabbath, and still. Gosh, even the remastered sound fantastic, and the songs still stand the test of time. Maybe except Lady Evil to this day.
I like that cover.
Nice.
That cover's iconic too. Absolutely.
Totally.
Yeah, the angel smoking. Yeah.
Mark. Oh, good. Sorry, Montag.
Yes. I'm
I
found out. For me, we're gonna stay with 1980. AC/DC, Back in Black.
All right.
This is a monster of an album, and
Mhm,
what makes this
mhm,
album so great, other than you got so many great songs, Hell's Bells, Shoot to Thrill, Let Me Put My Love Into You, which is very Spinal Tappy.
mhm, mhm.
Back in Black, You Shook Me All Night Long, Have a Drink on Me, Rock and Roll Ain't Noise Pollution. I mean, it is almost a perfect album from top to bottom.
Absolutely.
And what makes this album great, we have a new singer coming in. The people like the first albums they had with Bon Scott, and now here's this new singer, completely different sound to him. But AC/DC is one of those bands that for people who don't like heavy metal, they will like AC/DC. Their impact cannot be underestimated or overstated, rather. That's the way. The impact cannot be overstated. It is a phenomenal record, and I think one of the best ever in the hard rock genre.
Yeah. I agree with you so much that is my number 6. I'll just go ahead and tell you that, Back in Black. And to me, if you're gonna have a barbecue and hang out in the summertime and drink some beer and throw some cornhole, at some point, AC/DC, something from Back in Black's got to show up.
Yep.
To make it complete. Just
Yeah.
the ultimate, have on the background. Everybody's partying, having a good time. There's some Back in Black going on somewhere back there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Stellar, iconic album.
It is great. All right, Slunkmeister, number 8.
Okay, number 8. So for me, early 80s we're going back to. This is going to be 1981, Ozzy, Diary of a Madman.
Nice.
Ooh, yeah.
This is another one, kind of like Dio, tough choice between, Blizzard of Oz, Bark at the Moon, Diary. All those are really, really similar. But here, those 3 opening tracks, Over the Mountain, Can't Kill Rock, or was that Can't Kill Rock and Roll? Was that one of the first? Yeah. And then, Diary of Madman, the song, just such a cool, epic, sort of gothic vibe on that song.
Mm-hmm.
Great stuff. So, just love this album.
Yes, it's phenomenal.
Classic Ozzy.
I love
guitar work. That guitar work on the title track too by Randy. I mean, just that intro and everything is so awesome.
Yeah, Flying High Again, Can't Kill Rock and Roll, great stuff.
Yeah, Over the Mountain. That was on my short list, and I had to cut it. So I get it. It was like, oh God, because those. Yeah, I agree. Because there was also the same 3. I was thinking about Songmeister, like, boy, but Bark at the Moon is really good too, and like all these albums, like, oh my God, what do you pick?
Yeah, that little trilogy of Ozzy solo stuff is so good. Those first 3 albums were amazing. So yeah, that's
Excellent.
me, number 8. Chop Top, you at 8. What do you got?
My number 8. Judas Priest, Defenders of the Faith.
Nice.
Yeah.
Was the first time. I'm going a lot. You'll see a pattern in my list. I'm going off, first time I was introduced or heard these bands or something. And it's another one of them.
Hey,
First time I heard Priest.
Some of those are transformative moments in your life. The first time you hear a band, like, oh my God, you just, it's
nuts, and like, of course they put out Turbo afterwards, but we'll forgive them for that. But on that, then I just discovered Screaming for Vengeance, and I discovered British Steel and even I said, well, where does it go from this? And I said, oh, they got stuff way at the beginning of the 70s. I'm like, and even that stuff, a lot of it is fantastic.
Corolla,
I mean, Defenders for me. I mean, What Bites the Sentinel is a seminal Priest song, continues to play live to this day.
Free Will Burning,
Rock Hard Ride Free, Free Will Burning. What a riff. Jawbreaker, underrated classic. So for me, that was Defenders.
Yeah, that was my first real album I listened to of Judas Priest. It was on a stack of records that friends gave me because I had mentioned this before. I had a record player with cassette decks, and so people wanted cassettes of their albums. So they would give me blank cassettes. They would give me their albums, and I'd transfer it for them. So I got to listen to this, like, oh my God, who? And I had probably heard their songs and not known who it was, but this was the first album I'd actually listened to. And that Free Will Burn, I'm like, oh my God, these guys are so good. So it was on my list too. And I thought, oh, I think someone's going to say this because, it's too good of an album not to have. So
this was one of those digits I had to remove because tough one. Yeah, between this and Screaming for Vengeance was a I don't know.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
Arguably, Priest has next to Dave Murray and Adrian Smith, the 2 best dual lead guitar players in metal history. Tipton and KK down. I mean, it's wow. You get a world where you got KK and Glenn. You got a world where you got Dave Murray and you got Adrian. It's just, I'm in heaven.
Yeah, they're all part of that new wave of British heavy metal. Coming across.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. My last pick from 1980. It's Ozzy Osbourne, Blizzard of Oz. So there we go.
Nice.
And it was a tough choice. And I looked at it only because what made this album so great for me is back when they had the Randy Rhoads live album that came out after his death.
Yes.
I was in college and I used to play drums to that album all the time. And so many of the songs on that album come from Blizzard of Oz. I Don't Know, Crazy Train, Suicide Solution, Mr. Crowley, Revelation, Mother Earth, which I love, one of my favorite songs, and then Steal Away, which I think is a really underrated, fantastic Big Punch song. And then so like that was
the live version of that was
the live the live version. And so Revelation has that kind of achy, mournful sound. I'm like, oh, this is awesome, and the guitar work is phenomenal. So that was the only reason why I chose Blizzard of Oz as opposed to Diary of a Madman or Bark at the Moon, is because I played these songs. These songs have a big meaning for me playing that live sound. So, and it's a great album. I mean, it was just his breakaway album,
start to finish.
It's just a really good album. So I'm done with 1980.
Okay. All right. Well, moving down the list now, we are at number 7. We're for this one, we're heading to 1987, and to me, one of my favorite bands of all time. Period. Savatage, Hall of the Mountain King, 1987.
Oh, wow! I didn't even think about that. That is an awesome album.
Yeah.
Yes.
When I first heard these guys, this was in the Z-Rock days, back when I was in high school. Z-Rock finally made it to Ohio, past the censors and whatnot. But they started playing Savatage, and it just blew me away. Like Hall of the Mountain King. The that album, the sound is so huge. The guitars and the drums, it's just this massive, rich sonic sound, and just these awesome riffs that just make that stank face the whole time you're listening to it. So,
well, Chris Oliva is one of my biggest influences. As far as playing guitar. I got 3, and he's one of them. And it's unfortunate he passed. And he got killed by a drunk driver.
It's a shame.
But man, I'll tell you, 24 hours ago, Beyond the Doors of Dark, Legions,
Strange Wings,
Strange Wings. Oh boy, yeah.
I was just listening to him earlier and just had it cranking. Me and Lydia were sitting here, just head banging to it. Just such good stuff.
It's a great album. I remember the both of us listening to it at your house, Slunkmeister. We were working on D&D stuff or painting figures or whatever. I was just having it on. I was like,
what else are you gonna do when you listen to Sabotage? Work on D&D.
Right. Damn, I'm gonna put it on Mountain King. Yeah. Right, exactly. Yeah, totally. It's a great album.
So number 7 for me. Chop Top. How about you? What do we got next?
Number 7 for me is Fate's Warning, Awaken the Guardian. Again, another band is my first introduction to. I believe 1986 Metal Blade Records. John Arch was the first original singer. The album was just epic. It took me places. I was just like, what is this? Because it had classic Maiden sound in it. And they were just at the cusp before they started going from, I believe, in 1989's No Exit with Ray Alder further into progressive sound. They just continued more be progressive, but it had just a nice balance. The title track, Exodus, fantastic songs. Fata Morgana, Sorceress. Just nothing I can say more about that. I listened to the hell out of it on cassette when I got it. I was like, wow, this is really unique. This is something different. And Jim Matheos is a fantastic composer and songwriter and guitar player, and very underrated. So that's my number 7.
That's excellent. It's a great album. I love Fate's Warning. I think we all do. Just that progressive, heavy rock, metal.
One of those undersold, bands that probably deserve more than more recognition than they get.
Yeah. Well, we saw them all with was a Fate's Warning and Dream Theater and Queensryche all together, which was just a phenomenal show.
Yeah. So Montag, your 7. What do you got?
You are gonna like this, Slunkmeister. You are gonna love this.
Oh, it's gonna be Kiss, isn't it?
One of your favorite bands, 1982.
Nights. It's Crazy Nights.
Kiss, Creatures of the Night.
I kind of knew he was going that way. That's a great album.
It is a really good album. They were just coming off of that really shitty period where they did the disco, with was it Unmasked, and they did the Elder, music from the Elder, and the one before Unmasked, Dynasty wasn't a great album. They were just gone through this really sour, like really weak period, and then Eric Carr comes in to play drums. And then Creatures of the Night comes out, and it's like Kiss found it's like the heaviest album I think they made probably since they're like Hotter Than Hell. And it is just the sound, the monstrous sound of the drums, and the list of songs: Creatures of the Night, Saint and Sinner, Keep Me Coming, which is really funny. Keep me coming, it's Kiss, it's total Paul Stanley Kiss. But then you got I Love It Loud, the ballad I Still Love You, and then the big War Machine, which is just fucking phenomenal. And so, yeah, it's a heavy, heavy album. As much as you hate Kiss, Slunkmeister, if I was going to recommend a Kiss album for you from this era, it would be that one. Say, give a couple of these tracks to listen to. You might not hate it. You might not.
I'll recommend an enema for you. In return.
There you go. There's my pick.
The pain.
Oh boy. Yeah. Okay. Moving on. No, go ahead, Joe. Chop Top. Do you have anything to add to the
horrific?
I got nothing to say.
No, see,
I got nothing to say.
Don't
get me started.
I happen to like that album a lot too. It was a true, like, maybe their heaviest release ever. Production was loud. It was in your bombastic. Yeah, I really enjoy that album too. So.
Yeah. That's why I thought you'd like it, Slunkmeister, because I know you're really into music production. You like the way it sounds. So I would just listen to War Machine.
They didn't record that one in their garage? Was it their first album in a real studio?
Just listen to War Machine. Listen to the drum sound in War Machine. How big the drums sound. Everything it is the way that it was mixed and produced. It sounds huge. These drum sets sounds like it's 10 feet tall. So War Machine, check it out. All right. There's you're not going to.
I sure will. I sure will.
I got a closed mind musically.
Okay. So that that was 7. Okay.
Yes.
Enough said about that. Let's move on quickly. Okay, so you already know my number 6. That's Back in Black, AC/DC. So Chop Top, you number 6. What do you got?
Number 6, Motley Crue, Shout at the Devil.
Oh,
another first time album, first time listening to the band, hearing them. Definitely a step above Too Fast for Love. But Shout was just, man, especially that evil in the beginning, intro, and then it bursts right into Shout at the Devil. Too Young to Fall in Love, Knock 'Em Dead, Kid, 10 Seconds to Love.
Looks That Kill.
A very enjoyable album from start to finish. Even Helter Skelter, cover of the Beatles song, was great. So that's my number 6.
That's my next pick as well. Same pick as well.
Oh, nice. Wow.
Yeah, because I love that album, and it's so simple. Someone who doesn't know how to play guitar can learn to play that album in about an hour. But
a lot of tracks off it. Yeah,
good. Simple is good. Yeah. And there are a lot of times where when we first started getting MTV on cable, I'd catch my dad watching the Looks That Kill video.
Watching that chick crawl around?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He's like,
the old pervert.
I'd be like, hey, so you're watching, you like this music? He's like, oh, I just think it's a catchy name, Motley Crue. That's a pretty catchy name. I'm like, yeah, I know why you're watching it.
So you're looking at that booty, Dad.
That's right. That's why you got that box of Kleenex, old man.
No, Daddy's got a girlfriend.
That's right. So
boy.
And I think their cover of Helter Skelter is one of the best covers of all time. I know Slunkmeister is not a Fab Four fan, but it is a really ripping cover. And so that's my pick as well. Motley Crue. Shout out to them.
You're gonna get me a lot of hate for ragging on Kiss, and then now you're throwing me under the Beatles bus too. Holy crap! Okay,
I could always cut that out. I'll keep the Kiss in there.
The death threats are gonna come rolling in.
Yeah. How dare you not like something we do?
Yeah, can't do that nowadays.
I know exactly. Right.
But yeah, I totally agree that that album was definitely on my short list. Just that was one of my tough cuts at the end there.
Mm-hmm.
I agree 100%. That deserves a top 10 placement in the 80s.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
I think it's their strongest album, to be honest.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, they've had a better rich mixed albums like Girls, Girls, Girls,
I
and
thought Theater of Pain was
Peter Pain was really
fantastic
good.
too.
Great, yeah,
You
it's
know,
a great song or great
yeah.
album. But Looks Like Kill just captured that moment, that zeitgeist. It was just
Mhm.
perfect for what it is.
Yeah. Okay, on to we're moving into the top 5 now.
Yeah.
So, number 5 for me, 1981. Gotta have some Rush in here. Moving Pictures.
Ooh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you know, this is again. There's sort of I'm starting to notice bands. There's these little 3-album trilogies that seem to crop up, and I think Permanent Waves, Moving Pictures, and Signals were kind of a trilogy of music for Rush that between, as they moved out of sort of those epic set piece albums with the, and then before they moved
Some
into
stuff.
sort of their newer sound, with
Mhm,
Grace Under
mhm,
Pressure and Power Windows and all that.
mhm,
But yeah, Moving Pictures is the pinnacle of those 3. I mean, Permanent Waves is
mhm.
fantastic, but yeah,
Oh, yeah,
Moving
yeah.
Pictures is just an iconic album that if anybody knows anything about Rush, they know Tom Sawyer.
Right,
you know,
exactly, right.
so yeah, Rush is it's got to have a place in the top 5 in my opinion. So
Yeah, it is
Moving Pictures.
they're one of their album that they actually were the happiest with. For them, they said that was the album that finally defined what they wanted to be as a band.
That's what it felt
And
like to me. Yeah, what it
yeah,
feels like. A
yeah, and I love
refinement of who they
too.
are.
I
Yeah.
love the
Mhm.
Camera Eye and Witch Hunt.
Yeah.
Just, and I Red Barchetta, as you know, was one of my I could not listen to that song enough.
Boy. Yeah.
I could
Did we
put you
listen to that a lot?
that I think I wore the grooves out on my album. It just wouldn't play anymore after a while.
Yeah,
It
me and you
just
sitting in your room. Yeah, playing games on the Commodore 64, listening to
oh,
Rush,
yeah.
listening to
Yes.
Red
Ooh,
Barchetta.
like the
You know,
memories.
Oh, yeah, over and
fantastic.
over and over again. Oh, yeah.
What a moment in time that is.
Baseball All-Stars and
Mhm.
what was it? Racing? The
Destruction Derby.
Race Destruction.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's it.
Oh, God, that was a great game.
Great time in life right
Mhm, mhm.
there. So
Totally.
yeah, Chop Top number 5. What do you got cracking the top 5?
5. Well, I'm switching this one around. Number 5, I'm going to put Quiet Riot, Mental Health.
Ooh,
Oh man,
One of the first 3 cassettes I ever got. I didn't have any cassettes, didn't have any real music collection going. It was one of the first 3 that I got back in '83, along with ZZ Top Eliminator and another one we'll talk about later. But I remember from start to finish on that album. And remember, this was the first metal album to go number 1 ever in Billboard history. So it was a big deal. I mean, anthems, of course, they did a Slade cover, Come On, Feel the Noise. That was a huge hit. Bang Your Head, Mental Health. Let's Go Crazy. I just love the lyrics on that one. It's just really, really good overall. The sound I thought was great. I believe the guitar player Carlos Cavazo was, and he was amazing. And before Kevin DuBrow turned into a dick, actually, had a great, powerful voice and it really carried it. So I really, it sticks a place again in my heart, very personal to me. So
great album, and those videos are awesome. Back in the day when I'd watch that, I'd like, yeah, I want to be in a band. I want to wear the spandex or whatever it was. The smoky set, and it was also that weird, the guy with the metal plate. It was just that kind of their mascot almost, like what it represented with this packaged rebellion. Quiet Riot's a great band. That album
yeah,
especially.
great stuff. And I have a distinct memory of one of my very first school dances in junior high, where first time I kissed a girl was during "Come On, Feel the Noise" was playing. So how about that?
And
How about that?
Is that when you got the term
That's when my
Slunkmeister?
metal balls dropped right there, baby.
Did you slunk in your pants? Is that when you got the Slunkmeister?
Well, I'm not. No comment. No
Why do
comment.
I feel funny down here?
But I did feel the noise.
Nice.
First
First kiss the Quiet Riot. Excellent. Nice.
On the bleachers, junior high gym. Oh, talk about nostalgia.
I can't wait to do a whole episode on stories we can share about going out to clubs and all the things have happened and our live show experience.
I don't know if we should. I might
go there.
I might get tracked down for that one in particular.
Yeah, maybe.
Let's
we'll tone that one down.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Good to
Really watered down on my end.
good to relive those moments in your quiet personal time.
I reserve the right to redact anything you say about that particular incident.
Sock in hand. Ah. Oh well.
Okay. Anyway, so that was number 5. Chop Top. Or was it? No, that was.
Well, that was Chop
No.
Top did Mental
Yep,
Health.
that's mine. That's Montag.
Right.
Oh, that was your 5. Yeah, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Montag. Yeah, you're 5.
Montag. I'm doing 1983's Dio Holy Diver. I had to have Dio represent somewhere. I mean, great album, just like with the other ones. It was hard between Holy Diver and Last in Line. But this one was the first Dio I'd ever heard with Rainbow in the Dark. I'd never heard those riffs like that. I'm like, oh my god, who's this powerful singer? It's like, oh, this voice. And then you got great songs, Stand Up and Shout, which is a killer. Holy Diver, Don't Talk to Strangers, another ripper. Straight Through the Heart. Just a solid album. My first really hearing Dio for the first time, and just basis on Rainbow in the Dark, I'm like, I'm a fan. I don't know who these guys are yet or whatever, but yeah, just a phenomenal album.
Yeah, that's kind of stuff you could just listen to all day. I could just put on Dio and just crank it all day long.
Mm-hmm.
Never gets old.
No.
So okay, so
we're down to the top 4.
Okay, 4 coming in at number 4. We're going to stray a little bit. We're going to go into the hard rock, but 1987. I don't know how you don't have this on one of the best albums of all time, Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction.
Yes.
I don't know how a band gets together and then they come up with this as their debut album. It's like they just come out of the womb fully formed, ready to rock, and you put together an album like Appetite for Destruction. I don't know how it's even possible, but yeah, I think this album played when I graduated. Every graduation party, this album was going. So a lot of nostalgia there, but
sure.
Yeah, just one of the greatest albums of all time. Just amazing. It's a shame those guys really couldn't keep their heads on straight. Particularly Axl, but they fell apart the way they did because wow, what a group.
This was a fantastic album. I remember listening to a lot at your house, Slunkmeister, and we were just amazed at how every song was just as good or if not better than Welcome to the Jungle. It's just raw. It was like it felt like old Aerosmith but heavier. It recaptured that kind of gritty, dirty streetwise sound, and it was a monster of a record. I mean, too bad all the rest of their albums kind of suck, but this album, it was on my short list, and I had to. It was one of my digits I had to cut because I thought, oh god, it's so good. But I figured someone else is probably going to have this one.
Yeah. It has to be on there. So number 4, Chop Top. What do you got?
Number 4, a little surprise maybe for some, but Def Leppard's Pyromania. Another one, first introduced to the band. One of the first 3. That was when I said those 3 cassettes of the groups. That was the other third one, Def Leppard's. And honestly, I mean, in my opinion, their best album ever made, top to bottom. Of course, they had some of the hit, Rock of Ages and Foolin' and
Photograph.
But man, everything. Such Too Late for Love. Johnny Got His Gun, I believe. Stage Fright. One of the best sounding albums out of their catalog as well. And Pyromania before, that's great. The rest is crap. So I want to do it the long way and mean it, when I listen to fucking Pour Some Sugar on Me, right? I just want to fucking blow my brains out. I never need to hear that fucking song again in my life, right? But
Hysteria is the biggest selling album, but it wasn't. I mean, it was just a commercially success. Hey, good for them. They made it. But Pyromania, I remember watching the videos. For Foolin' and Photograph, thinking, God, these guys are great.
Yeah.
And just had that. It was a very unique sound. It was catchy. It was hard rock, but it's like AC/DC in a way. People who don't like hard rock will listen to Def Leppard. It's a very accessible band for most people. That's why they have $50 bajillion.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you brought it up. I almost forgot about these guys, but man, I played the hell out of Pyromania.
You had the album. You had
that on vinyl, man.
Yeah. Nice.
At a ton. Yeah, great. Great call. That's an amazing album. Yep.
You also had another album that was very popular, but I won't mention it. I think you know what we're talking about. I can see your face.
I know what we're talking about.
We'll talk about that after the show. I don't want
Not quite metal.
I don't want to embarrass
Might
you.
not be metal.
Although there's a connection to metal on one of those songs. That's all I'll say.
Okay. Yeah.
There we go.
Hey, come on.
Hey,
You're gonna try to expose all my secrets. Just
yeah.
Okay. Anyway, Montag, let's hear it. You're number 4.
Milli
Number 4. Yeah. The Silent Album.
I was devastated when I found out it was all lip synced. Oh, it was a dark night of the soul there.
This album, I could see you being surprised and also not surprised. 1984, Spinal Tap, the Black Album.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I know no one was going to put this on here, but we cannot understate Spinal Tap's contribution to metal. I mean, the songs on this album: Hellhole, Tonight I'm Gonna Rock It Tonight, Heavy Duty, Rock and Roll Creation, Big Bottom. Come on, man. Sex Farm and Stonehenge.
Stonehenge?
Yes.
You know, right up there with Diary of a Madman and its gothic epicness.
It's fantastic. And when they re-released the album on a CD in the year 2000, 2002, I think, they included the track that they couldn't fit on the actual album, Christmas with the Devil. So, I mean, it is just, I mean, Spinal Tap as the mockumentary band, but their music is really fun. And
it is.
And I saw them live on the Break Like the Wind tour. And they played a great show, 2 hours. I mean, it was just every bit as what you could want in a metal show, and every bit as what you could want in a Spinal Tap show. So,
the egg cases, yeah, that's the best one.
Well, they did come out in the eggs. They did. They have that open, and the first one open. You know, the first 2 come out, and the third open. It was a giant chicken, a guy in a chicken costume. And so here comes then Derek Smalls out there, you know, and he also said, "Hello, Cleveland." I'm like, oh yeah, you have to say that. You're in Cleveland. So that's my number 4 pick, Spinal Tap. This is Spinal Tap.
Very nice. Yeah. Can't even argue with that. Great pick. Okay, we're moving on to our top 3 metal albums of the 80s. For me, yeah. So a rehash maybe of last episode, but I can't do a top 10 without including some Maiden. So yeah, Peace of Mind.
Yeah.
Number 3. I think solidly number 3 in the 80s metal albums. So yeah, we talked it up a lot last week.
Yeah, yes, we did. It's a stellar album. You can't. I purposely like Chop Top. I purposely excluded it only because
I thought about it.
But you can't deny. And Peace of Mind was my pick as too. You cannot deny the importance of that record. And boy, just how big and powerful it sounds. You can't.
Yep. Chop Top, you're number 3.
3 might surprise some people, but Whitesnake, their self-titled album.
Oh yeah,
I considered this. Yes,
I am a big, I don't care what anybody thinks. I'm a big Whitesnake fan, always have been. Even their old stuff, the blues based, they came out and Coverdale came out of Purple and stuff. So for me, this was the first time though I heard another one defines. That's how I went down this list. Basically, what was the thing that meant the most, in those moments.
Yeah,
and these bands is the first time I heard them. So of course I could go without ever hearing "Here I Go Again" in my fucking life.
But you jerked off enough to that video to last a lifetime.
Oh, I've had the kitten a few times.
That's right.
Yeah. But for me, I mean, John Sykes' guitar work. I don't know if Aldridge played on the album or just the tour when he started the band up there. But overall, just a fantastic album. Really defining moment, I think, for them. And a lot of people say, well, they're lumped into the hair metal because it was 86 when they came out, 87. And 87, correct. And I'm thinking, no, you can't. It's like, listen to me. It's rock and roll, man. It's hard rock. It's good stuff. They just got the image and stuff with the big hair and everything that they went into videos and Tawny the Kitanes in every damn one. But for me, it's just it's a classic. It stands the test of time. I still reach for it this day, and I like Whitesnake a lot. So
yeah, I agree. That was that one crossed my mind too. Great. I remember the first time I heard Still the Night, just blew me away. Like a friend of mine just threw some headphones on me. He's like, here, check this out. And wow, that opening riff and the sound is just so big. And then, Coverdale's opening vocal lines was wow, powerful song.
And then his scream after the break, it's like very Robert Plant-ish and amazing, and powerful.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a great album. It didn't make my short list, but I saw it. I'm like, ooh, yeah.
Yeah, hard to argue with that. Montag.
My number 3. Ooh, this is the heavy one. Coming out in 1986. Slayer, Rain and Blood.
I knew it was coming.
We have to have Slayer
Knew it was coming. Yeah.
on the list. I mean, you got the opening track, Angel of Death, with that insane scream and a fast double bass screaming. Altar of Sacrifice and Jesus Saves, which I think is just hysterical together. Post Mortem. And then, of course, the titular track, Raining Blood.
That riff.
Yeah, it is just insanely fast. And it was the first Slayer I had ever heard, and it was because of Z-Rock when it was on. I had never heard of the Slayer. I mean, I was listening to
God bless
G98 in
Z-Rock.
Cleveland with Uncle Vic playing, hey, let's play Foreigner one more time. You know, and I was in a very repressive kind of environment and wasn't allowed to listen to most of the stuff. But by 86, we got Z-Rock. I had my own car, and I found it, and then I heard that riff to Angel of Death. And I'm like,
my
what?
Lord.
I'm like, oh my God. It was like someone just pulling my face apart, just pulling my skin up. It was. I'm like, then I heard that scream. Oh! I'm like, oh my, what is this? It was just so insanely fast. It made my heart go fast. I was sweating in the car, like, oh, I can't handle it, you know. Yeah, Slayer. What more can you say? I mean, back in the classic lineup days, I've seen Slayer multiple times. Chop Top and I have seen Slayer. And this is one of their most ferocious best, and it's a short album. It's like 28 minutes, and it is pure thrash from top to bottom, speed metal, and you just cannot get much better for pure thrash metal than Rain and Blood.
Yeah,
totally agree. I mean, Rain and Blood. I considered South of Heaven as well. You know, Slayer.
My honorable mention, Slunkmeister. That's what my honorable mention was, Slayer, South of Heaven. So
yeah, Slayer. I kind of left it off the list because I knew you would have Slayer somewhere in the top there.
We knew.
Like, all right,
we know.
I'll slot something else in. You know, maybe I could have left Maiden off and put in Slayer.
Right, exactly. That's why I pulled Maiden out. I knew you were going to put him in. So it's like, yeah, we had a little play. In that.
Yeah,
right.
For sure.
Yeah, I get it.
Great stuff.
Oof.
Okay, Slunkmeister, I think number 2.
Yeah,
number 2, 1986. You got to go Master of Puppets, Metallica. I mean, one of the greatest period album.
What can you say?
One of the greatest albums of all time, top to bottom. Every single track is just, I don't know. There's not enough superlatives to describe albums like this. They're bigger than life. You know, it's kind of like Appetite for Destruction. You know, Master of Puppets. There's just certain albums that take on a life of their own. They're so good that they're just legendary status in my opinion. So yeah, Master of Puppets.
Yeah, it was hard to cut Metallica from the list, and I was going to pick And Justice for All only because to me that was an involvement. Like when Maiden went from Somewhere in Time to Seventh Son, like doing the concept album, it was like a different level of musicianship, and that's what And Justice was for me. But I thought, oh God, it's hard to cut them. But yeah, Master of Puppets has that sound, and it's raw and big, and every track is just ferocious.
This was the first album that took me from Maiden introduced me into like a heavier metal from hair metal and stuff like that into a real metal, quote unquote real. And then Metallica, Master of Puppets kind of brought me into the speed metal sort of genre, into that real heavier stuff. It wasn't grabbing me. Well, something was grabbing me at first. I didn't like it at first, but I just kept going back to it. Like there was something there that just kept pulling at me. And eventually just realized like, wow, what an amazing album. So yeah, number 2 right there, Master of Puppets. Chop Top.
Number 2 for me, Queensryche, Operation Mindcrime.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
I remember when that came out, and I already heard them, before a little bit of Warning, and of course Rage for Order, which I thought was still ahead of its time. But for me, when it was Mindcrime, like arguably maybe the greatest concept record of all time, in my opinion. But I just think that I wore the hell out of that cassette. I remember just playing that all the time. I never got tired of it.
Yeah.
Storyline,
Every track.
I didn't really follow too much well with, but it was just seamless. It was just seamless how everything just it blended right together. It was a perfect lightning in a bottle again. So
Yeah.
Operation Mindcrime.
I agree.
Second.
Yeah. It is a stellar album. It is definitely their best album. It is definitely one of the best albums of all time. I was an RA in college. It was actually one of my residents suggested, he knew what I was listening to. He's like, hey, you ever listen to Queensryche? I'm like, no. He's the one who got me, I forget the guy's name. I want to say thanks. He gave me a Queensryche Operation Mindcrime to listen to and King Diamond Them, because I'd never listened to King Diamond. And I'm like, in Operation Mindcrime, it took me a couple listings to. I'm like, I don't know. But by like the third listening, I'm like, oh, okay. These guys are really something.
Yeah.
So yeah, and Mindcrime is just phenomenal. Yeah, great pick. Top.
Absolutely. Great pick. Your number 2, Montag.
My number 2 is 1987 Anthrax, Among the Living.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, Anthrax is just
Mhm.
one of those great, fun thrash bands that, in a way, what I liked about them, I mean, they had insane riffs and fast, but they wrote about things I thought were great, like I Am the Law, about Judge Dredd. And I like Scotty Ian because he had Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on his guitar, and the fact that he said his favorite thing on the road to do was read comic books. I'm like, oh, okay, I like this guy, But we have other great songs, Among the Living, is that first kind of moshy sound that I heard, Caught in a
Stellar.
March, I'm the Law, and then Indians, which I think, here they
yeah.
are, like
Great
Testament, writing serious songs about the plight of
Mhm.
Native Americans, and then it has that, especially in Indians, where you get that halftime, that war dance, and then it picks up again. Exactly. Then you can't help but just want to bang your head like, oh, fuck yeah, I want to get into a pit. I want to get into a pit. I want to be 20 years old and invincible. Yeah. And when I heard that, I'm like, oh, and this was taking music at this time was taking me heavy into this heavier direction. And bands like Anthrax introduced me to this mosh, this intense thrash sound, where other bands weren't growing on me, like Exodus, weren't really growing on me at the time. Just like, I didn't really care for it. But Anthrax really, I still love Anthrax. Just both versions of Anthrax. There's my number
Yeah, I
2.
saw those guys, Megadeth, Testament, and Anthrax, all triple bill one time.
Yeah.
What a great show.
Chop Top and I saw them on the first time I saw them was on the
Titans.
Clash of the Titans. Yeah.
Richfield Coliseum.
Right.
Yep.
Right back here behind me, I actually have a poster, Judge Dredd poster, signed by Anthrax, signed by everybody.
Really nice.
My
How'd you get
cousin gave me
jealous.
that. My cousin Eric,
Oh yeah, the
the
drummer.
Yeah, he gave me that. Big Judge Dredd poster signed by the band. Yeah.
That's sweet. Very nice. Yeah.
Sweet.
Well, on the Clash of the Titans, it was Alice in Chains opening. That was when they had their first album, and then it was Anthrax, Megadeth, and Slayer. Yeah, that was a show, man.
Nice.
You were exhausted by the end of it, man. My neck was hurting for like 3 days from all the headbanging. Yeah,
I remember the jackass that came out of the pit. We're walking out there, me and Montag, and he's covered in blood. He's like, that was a fucking pit from hell. I'm like, oh my God. Like he was at a fucking murder show, right? He was at a fucking homicide right there. He's covered in blood. I'm like, my God, he split his head open or something. We're just like,
you're going to be taken out on a stretcher, man. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, now we're down to the number 1.
Number 1.
Number 1.
You
So yeah, Chop Top, you took it. 1988, Mindcrime. I mean,
yeah.
Oh,
I'm with
great.
you on that one. It's for me one of my favorite albums of any era. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Tate. He's at the height of his vocal power at that time. Another concept album.
Mhm.
Every track is a masterpiece. I mean, I put this up there with The Wall, with Pink Floyd, The Wall, which would have made this list, but that came out in November of '79. So, but I think it's one of those. It's just another one of those albums that's kind of greater than the sum of its parts.
Right, and the
parts
parts
are
are
all
all pretty
You
phenomenal.
don't get tired of it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It just
It's still as good 30 years ago, 30 some years away
Sure.
as it was then, and just as relevant. I mean,
Yeah, and the
Eyes Wide
commentary, the social commentary on that album is still every bit as
exactly.
it
Yeah, it's right.
it could have come out yesterday,
Yeah. One of my favorite tracks is Sweet Sister Mary, and partly because
Oh,
the
yeah.
way it's mixed. You get
Yeah.
that nice big reverb on, on that quiet part where you get that drums. The drum sounds huge. Everything sounds perfect. It had really solidified the Queensryche sound. The sound of their guitars, the distortion, the way they play the dual leads. It is just a phenomenal record, top to bottom.
Totally agree. Chop Top, your number one.
Oh, here it is. Drum roll.
Let's hear it.
Well, I'm going off of Slunkmeister's number 2, Metallica's Master of Puppets.
Yeah.
That's just, I just can't deny it. I mean, again, first time I heard Metallica. Again, cassette tape, right? Wore through, I don't know how many damn cassette tapes I bought of the same band back in the day, but I'll tell you, I went through quite a few because that was my first introduction. I'm like, this is just, again, and I think one of the most underrated things of that album also, and I wish it would have played more live or something, Disposable Heroes. So underlooked. What
unbelievable.
A fantastic track. Yeah. And then you got maybe arguably one of the first or second greatest instrumentals in Orion. I
totally agree.
dig that so much, man.
Yeah, and they just those like sludgy, Leper Messiah, and the thing that should not be those big, heavy, sludgy riffs were just grab you by the nuts, like, let's go, let's go.
Right. And
hit your head against that wall over there.
You got Battery open up and it batters you. Then you got Damage Incorporated at the end.
Yeah.
It's like a perfect way to close an album with 2 bashers.
It's like getting punched in the face. Damage Incorporated is getting bludgeoned about in the head.
And you love it.
Yeah, you're fine with it. You're great.
Yeah.
Give me again. Yeah, like I wasn't
Give me more.
crazy about the drum sound. The snare drum sounds a bit wet and flappy, but it works on those sludgier songs. I can see why they do it, like Leper Messiah. You can hear that. It adds to the heaviness of it, and that just like it is a big sound. So. Exactly. It's like and I haven't listened to Metallica for a long time, but now like I think when we're done, like tomorrow, I think I'm going to be listening to Master of Puppets.
Yeah.
You must kiss away. Listen to Master.
Exactly.
All right, Montag, close it out. What do you got?
All right, boy, here you go.
1987. King Diamond, Abigail.
I knew it.
Oh,
I knew Abigail was coming.
Oh yeah, King.
Abigail, you bitch.
Exactly. I mean, it is such a great album. I like Abigail 2 as well. Abigail 2 is a phenomenal record. But Abigail, I mean, again, King Diamond is just one of those artists who, if you not used to hearing him sing in this falsettos, it takes a little while to get used to. But the riffing is crazy good.
Oh yeah,
heavy riff, and you got Mickey D playing drums, and great songs. The Arrival, The Family Ghost, The Seventh Day of July is really catchy. Omens, and then Abigail, and then Black Horseman. I mean, my God, it's a concept album. The stories of, all his albums are horror albums and deal with the occult and things like that. But
so very topical to the show.
Exactly.
Heavy metal horror.
Right. You got this little bitch baby Abigail. So it is an album that screams a whole listen to, and I love concept albums. I love having a story being played out with lyrics and song and music, and it's like a horror movie for the ears. All this stuff is, and
Stephen King of music. That's how
and Chop Top and I we went to see King at the House of Blues, and it was on the Voodoo tour, I think, or no, Puppet Master, and I made a side to bring with me. And on one side it said "Welcome Home, King." And the other side, I think I wrote "Abigail, you bitch" or something like that. And I was holding it up, and I was hoping he would see the "Welcome Home, King," but it was on the Abigail side, and he saw it, and he put his hands and he clapped. For it.
He was like, it's looking like, thank you, Cleveland, from the bottom of my black heart.
Exactly.
That's another one of those albums got a lot of airplay during the Z-Rock era, and man. Yeah, I loved it. That album had such a great mix. It was so crisp and really clean sounding album. Just great to listen to.
Yeah, the acoustic guitars were so clean and crisp and clear. And
every little cymbal was really
very, very well, nicely mixed. Yep.
Yeah.
Right. And LaRock's riffs are fantastic. It's just a heavy, crunchy album, and it's got that great black metal sound, very melodic and complex. It never gets tiresome. You know, it's an album that's 35 years old, and I will listen to it probably 1,000 more times before I, for 5 years. You know, I can listen to it almost every day. You know, it never gets old for me. You know, like most of these albums, obviously. Yeah. So there's my top pick.
Whew, yeah. So there, we made it rough. A rough task.
Some honorable mentions, guys, that you'd like to mention.
Sure. I think
I cut mine down to like 6. I got 6 honorable mentions, but
oh man, I got rid of them all. Actually, I cut them from my list because
I did too. I was my original list. I mean, I think most of them were mentioned by you guys or on your list. You know, such as White Snake or Slayer. I mean, obviously that
the Def Leppard, the which Dio album, which Black Sabbath album. You know, I was also one of my honorable mention. I will say this: Bon Jovi, "Slippery When Wet."
Oh, you're right.
You know,
absolutely right.
And I never was a real big Bon Jovi fan at the time, but I I mean, Wanted Dead or Alive, I don't care. I wasn't a Bon Jovi fan, but that's a great song. Then you think of the other songs that are on that album. This was a huge selling album for him. And I'm like, oh, you know, it is a really, really good album. And however you want to define it, the pop rock, pop hard rock. So it opens the door for other bands like Poison, you know, those kinds of things. But Bon Jovi, they've had some really good success, and that album really started it, I think.
Yeah, I mean, along those lines, somewhat, I guess, is 80s era like Aerosmith. You know, maybe you don't necessarily care the direction they took in the 80s, but they were still making, hugely popular, making some great music, and I like the early stuff a little better, but so I don't know. You could go on with great bands in the.
I know.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's hard.
I'm going to throw out one that I know it's one of Montag's favorite, Saxon. Innocence is no excuse. I love Saxon a lot, and to me they're a little more rated than what they get, more credit for. But Innocence is no excuse was first introduction to them, and Rockin' Again, and Devil Rides Out, Broken Arrows. Gosh, I mean, just top to that's a fantastic album. I recently, about months ago, I got the remaster. Actually, they remastered a lot of series, and I just bought it because I'm like, I've had the cassette tape. It's like, I think I can get a remastered of this, after how many 40 years or whatever. And it's a really good sounding album. And it's a lot of great songs. So I like Saxon a lot, but that's just me. That's not.
Yeah, I guess. Another honorable mention. Then I just thought of one that was on my list. Metal Church. Remember Metal Church?
Oh, I was just going to say that.
Yeah, The Dark was a fantastic album. Those guys didn't last long, but my God, they had some really cool stuff.
No, they're still putting out music.
Are they?
Yeah, they got Mike Howe back too.
Okay, so I just lost track.
Yeah, Generation Nothing just came out 2013.
No, I gotta go back.
Light in the Dark was 2006.
I feel terrible that I've lost track of them.
Yeah, but I mean, Ton of Bricks, Method to Your Madness, Watch the Children Pray. I mean,
Burial at Sea. Burial at Sea.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
that's an awesome song. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great album. So that's funny you mentioned. I was going to say that. And another one I've just kind of recently got into, a band I hadn't really heard much about, but Annihilator, Alice in Hell. I think that's their first album. It was '89. Annihilator. Excellent. What a really good band. These guys are great. Like a thrashy, a little bit like Halloween, thrashy sounds, but another good band.
There we
go.
Obviously
go on and on and on, guys, but
yeah, we could be here for 2 hours.
So there it is. There's our list as it stands. Right. I could debate with myself for hours on this list. So I'm sure anybody that listens to this is going to be like, "You guys are idiots," whatever, But hey, that's fine. We might be, Who knows?
Have them make their own goddamn podcast.
Really hard. Make their own top 10.
It is. Top 10 is hard, man.
Wow,
it's difficult. It was a lot easier to rearrange the Maiden albums in order than it was perfect 10. 10, I think maybe the best, like you said, Slunkmeister. This might be the golden era of metal in that 80s.
Yeah.
And
thank you for the wonderful assignment, Slunkmeister. Yeah. fucking best albums of the 80s. Thank you.
Yeah, I was kind of regretting it in the middle of this week. Like, oh, what have I done? What did I do?
Well, you ran us through pain. The very least you could do is go listen to War Machine, for crying out loud. Come on,
that?
man. I think what it is, you're afraid you're going to like it. That's what it is, and
Maybe I've dug in my heels for so many years.
I would, I would just brag.
Listen up the reins a little bit. You listen to War Machine. Yeah.
It's a closet kiss.
I don't want to lose a topic of ridicule that I've
right.
clung so many years.
That's right.
What am I going to talk about? You selling a testicle again? We got to go back to that.
Exactly.
So,
we've got stories, man. We've got over 40 years of stories to tell on one another. So we start opening that can of worms, and we are in fucking trouble.
Top 10 ridicules of each other. Let's start.
Right. Let's
most embarrassing stories of the last 40 years.
Slunkmeister, what show were we at?
Oh God, so that one will get nothing that'll get me thrown in jail.
Yeah, it's all gonna come out. Well, I just have other personal stories of sharing.
Oh boy,
save that for another time.
A highly redacted episode.
Chop Top has a few stories. We have some stories we can share too. So.
We have some stories. We'll do that off the air. Yeah.
Yeah. None of us want to go to jail right now. So.
Oh Lord. Okay.
Oh, what a
Montag,
great topic.
take us out.
Thank you again, Slunkmeister. Hey, thank you for listening. I am Montag.
And the Slunkmeister.
And you've been listening to Heavy Metal.
Horror.